Indiana basketball gets the biggest win of the season. Darian DeVries has his first signature win, and the Hoosiers take down the Boilermakers. Baby, let's celebrate Indiana taking down Purdue.
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, and it is the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. I'm your man, Jacob Goins. I appreciate you being here, making this your first listen or your first watch every single day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day and the nation's #1 sports podcasting network. How about those Indiana basketball Hoosiers? They take down Purdue in the first matchup of the season, 72-67 final score. Indiana takes down the Boilermakers. I am in shock. I'm in shock. I can't believe it. I cannot believe they found a way to get it done. They made it interesting. They dramatized, or, they made it stressful down the stretch, but Indiana gets the win 72-67. And oh my gosh, what a win for this Indiana basketball team. We told you today on the main show, this type of a win could turn around the season. This type of a win could change everything. It could prove to us that Indiana was good enough to beat good teams. I think they did that tonight. It gives you your first quad one win, which you have to make the NCAA tournament, and Indiana got that tonight. And correct me if I'm wrong here, ladies and gentlemen, it just looked different. It looked different. It felt different. It was different for this Indiana team. 67 is the score for Purdue. 72 is the score for the Hoosiers. Indiana wins this basketball game in front of an awesome crowd at Assembly Hall. Shout out to the Indiana fans who braced the cold, braced the weather, and showed up and supported this basketball team, and the Hoosiers win 72-67. We're going to break it all down here on today's show on this live edition of Locked On Hoosiers. We're going to break down the stat sheet. We're going to break down the trends. We're going to break down likes and dislikes. We're going to do it all here on this episode. And shout out Indiana, dude. Shout out to this team, because I didn't pick them. I didn't pick them to win this game. I said, heck no. I said, when Indiana shows me they can play good basketball for 40 minutes against a competent opponent, then I'll buy in. Then I'll believe it. Then I'll pick you to start winning these types of games. But we hadn't seen it yet. We've seen 20 minutes of good basketball. We've seen 30 minutes of good basketball. We've even seen close to 35 good minutes of basketball. But Indiana, against a team with a pulse, has not put together a full 40 minutes yet this season. Was tonight a great 40 minutes? No. It was a pretty darn good 20. It was an okay 30 and 35. There were some stretches in there, especially in that second half, that got super dicey. But you found a way to win. You completed the win. You got it done. Even after you blew a 14-point lead with less than 10 minutes to play, you still found a way to get it done. Indiana needed this. Darian DeVries needed this. The fan base needed this. For Indiana basketball, I know we've been celebrating football. We've been having a great time with that, but it's basketball season now. And Indiana fans needed something to reignite them with this team, with this new organization that we're watching. Tonight was that night. 72-67, Indiana takes down Purdue. And folks, that's a good Purdue team. That's a top 15 Purdue team. That's one that I know that they're reeling right now, clearly, and they did not play their best basketball tonight by any means. That's still a team I think has every opportunity to make a run at the Final Four. I still think they're that talented. I think they're that good. And Indiana outplayed them for 40 minutes tonight. And guess what? On both ends of the floor, Indiana beats Purdue by shooting the ball well and getting stops defensively, forcing turnovers, grabbing rebounds, getting up and down the floor. Sure, there were some open baskets that Purdue had, and they made some tough shots. They're a good team. They're going to do that. But Indiana didn't fold. Indiana didn't crumble like we've seen them do time and time again this season. That was the difference tonight. That was the difference, right? When something went wrong, Indiana didn't say, well, I guess it's over. I guess we're going to lose. No. They said, let's go make another play. Let's get back on the other end of the floor and see how we can make up for that. That was the difference tonight, was Indiana's mentality, was Indiana's effort, going after rebounds, going after loose balls, most of the defensive plays. Indiana's mentality was the difference this evening. You score 40 in the first half, just 32 in the second half. Your offense was great in the first 20 minutes. You get out to an 11-point lead. We knew it was going to cool off, right? We knew it was going to happen. It was inevitable. That's how this team works. That's how most shooting teams go. You weren't going to shoot 55, 56%, whatever it was, in the second half the way you did in the first half. Just wasn't going to happen. But could you find ways to score? Could you find ways to still put it in the bottom of the basket? There was a big stretch in there. What was it, 4 or 5 minutes that Indiana didn't hit a field goal? You got to the free throw line several times and left them short on 1-and-1s and had every chance, or gave Purdue every chance to win this game. And yet you still found ways to win. Let's dive into some of the numbers here on what was an incredible basketball game to watch. Loved watching this. This felt like Indiana and Purdue. I think Assembly Hall was a big difference. We'll talk about that, likes and dislikes, coming up in the next segment. Lamar Wilkerson did what he did. 19 points, 7 of 18 from the floor. 3-point shooting was poor, but guess what? He finally quit shooting them. He got downhill. He got to the lane. He found other ways to score. That's what good players do. He also had 7 boards, 3 assists. He did have 3 turnovers, 3 of just the 8 for Indiana in this game. That's a miracle in itself for Indiana. Nick Dorn, what a guy. What a guy. Gets the start again, steps in, and has 18 points, most of those coming in the second half. Hit a couple of just stupid threes in this game. He has quickly become one of Indiana's go-to guys offensively, and you rely on him now, and he gives you 18, 6 of 11 from the floor, 4 of 9 from downtown. Also had 2 rebounds in there as well. And then everything else was just kind of a big pot of stuff, like a big stew, if you will. Reed Bailey. Applaud for Reed Bailey. One of the best games he's played in the last, 2 months probably. 9 points, 3 of 4 from the floor, 3 of 5 from the free throw line, only 2 rebounds, but I don't care. He scored, right? He scored. I don't know what Purdue was doing, but they made him look like he played real basketball. And Reed Bailey put in 9 big points that Indiana had to have. You get 9 points from Tucker DeVries, most of that coming in the first half. He was still big in the second half. How about 9 points, 10 rebounds for Tucker? If you're not going to score, do something else. I've always said that in basketball. If you're not going to score, do something else. We know it ain't going to be defense for the most part for Tucker DeVries. So he said, cool, I'll get rebounds. He had 10 of them tonight. Goes along with 3 assists and just the 1 turnover for Tucker DeVries. Conor Enright, I got to say it. I have to, because I am the hardest person on him on the offensive end of the floor. That 3 that he shot on the dribble drive from Tucker DeVries, kick out for Enright, he was so open, the basketball gods would have been bad. They would have been mad if he didn't shoot it. But he didn't even hesitate. A guy that shoots what? What's his official 3-point percentage? I want to look this up going in or even coming out of this game. What is his official 3-point percentage before I totally dunk on this guy? 33%. Is what Conor Enright shoots from behind the arc. He gripped and ripped that thing like he shoots it at 60%, dude. He did not hesitate at all, and he buried it. Purdue had gotten back within 2. They were feeling it. They were clapping, smacking the floor. They were doing it all. Conor Enright said, cool, watch this, and buried that 3 from the left wing, and that was the dagger to take down Purdue. He has 8 points, 2 rebounds. How about 8 assists for Conor Enright as well? If you're not going to score, do something else. And that's what Conor Enright did. He had a good defensive game as well. Josiah Miles gives you 5. Sicily, again, not a huge impact in this game. Missed that one corner 3 late. Sam Alexis had just the 2 points. He wasn't a huge factor here either. But you win this thing 72-67. Hoosiers take down the Boilermakers in the biggest win of the season. You can turn things around starting right now and build on this for the rest of the season and the rest of the campaign. We'll talk about more stats. We'll talk about how Indiana can build on this, plus likes and dislikes coming up in the final segment on this Locked On Hoosiers episode. So stick around. This episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by Mazda's, moving the game forward. For those who show there's more to the score than what's on the screen, we highlighted Nick Dorn the other day. We can highlight him again if you want to, or we can go to somebody like Lamar Wilkerson, who stepped up and gave you buckets when you needed them. 19 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists for the guy. And Indiana as a whole moved the game forward by only getting 8 turnovers on the day. You end up losing the rebounding battle, but you were winning it for most of the time, and you only lose it by 5 to that team. That's good enough for me. That's good enough to remind us what it really takes to raise the bar. It's the extra work off the court, dialing in every detail, giving it that extra fire, the grit, and the I never quit. We put that same passion into every model at Mazda. Highlights make the reel. What it took to get there makes it count. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. This episode of Locked On Hoosiers is also brought to you by TurboTax, right? It's that time of year, Hoosier fans, unfortunately, but it doesn't have to take over your life, okay? This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever just to hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or the guesswork. So instead of spending a ton of hours sitting in front of the computer, crunching the numbers, filling out the forms, and hoping that you did it right, just let a TurboTax expert do it for you in person or online. It's a huge time saver, and it gives real peace of mind knowing an expert is doing it for you. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in if a TurboTax expert did not file for you last year. Just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. All right, welcome back into Locked On Hoosiers. Appreciate you being here, making this your go-to spot for all things Indiana athletics as Indiana takes down Purdue 72-67 inside of Assembly Hall. Hoosiers get their biggest win of the season, and it could not have come at a better time. 14-7 now on the season are the Indiana Hoosiers. You get a huge win in Big Ten play to bring you back to 500, 5-5 on the season, going through one of your toughest stretches of the entire campaign this season. And I want to go back to some of these team stats, because as great as the offensive performance was, right? You put up 72 points, most of that coming in the first half. The shooting numbers ended up being solid for the game as a whole. Can we just respect the fact that Indiana played maybe its best defensive game of the season tonight? 67 points you gave up to that Purdue team, one that has put up 80s and 90s consistently this season. And you found a way to get stops. Did they miss some shots tonight? Yeah, they did. Did they find something going down the stretch with the 2-man game of Braden Smith and TKR that Indiana couldn't stop? Yeah. Did Indiana have poor communication at times on defense and not know who to stop, whether it was the ball or a shooter? Yeah, that was frustrating. But guess what? You didn't let it burn you. You didn't let it bury you. You didn't let it crush you in your own gym. You just ran to the other end of the floor and found a way to get a bucket, found a way to stop the bleeding and not let it pile on. That was the difference tonight for Indiana. Moving the ball offensively and bouncing back defensively, man. This team, against all odds, Indiana wins this game as the underdog on our home floor. You end up shooting 46% for the game. Purdue actually shot it better than you tonight, 48% as a team. Indiana shoots 36% from 3. Purdue shoots it at 35. The difference is you shoot 33 of them and make 12. They shoot 20 and make just 7. 14 of 19 at the free throw line was Indiana Only 53% for Purdue, 8 of 15 at the line. They had 10 turnovers. You had just 8. Told you about the rebounding numbers in our Mazda read. You get out rebounded by 5. But how about this? How about points in the paint? A category we thought Indiana would just get murdered in, and they competed. They didn't win it, but they competed. You lost by only 6 in that category. That's fine. That's okay. Reed Bailey stepped up and played one of his better games of the season, and Sam Alexis was non-existent on the offensive end of the floor. Oh, by the way, didn't even mention this in the first segment. How about the fact that Tatum Conaway didn't play tonight? Tatum Conaway wasn't there. A guy that normally starts for you. He didn't start a couple of days ago because of Nick Dorn, and he probably was not going to start in this game either. But somebody that can give you 8, 10, 12 points, 2, 3, 4 rebounds, 3, 4, 5 assists a game, didn't even play tonight. So your small rotation, your short rotation that you're already using, just went down another man. You had, let me look at this for a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You had 7 guys record significant minutes tonight. 1, 2, 3, 4. You had 5 players may play more than 20 minutes tonight. Sam Alexis played 14. Josiah Miles played 15. Trent Sisley played 3. You had 5 players go for more than 20 minutes. Conor Enright didn't come off the floor. He played all 40 minutes, according to Stat Broadcast. He played all 40 minutes. Wilkerson played 36. DeVries played 35. Nick Dorn played 32. That's absurd. That's absurd. And yet you still out physical, out hustle, and outperform that Purdue team tonight. Indiana, they deserve to be celebrated here. This is your best win of the season, the best win of the DeVries era so far, and you're 1-0 against your rival. Talk about how awesome that is, right? Some of the other stats here really quickly. Indiana had 16 assists on 23 made baskets. Can't overlook and overstate how big that is. And Indiana led for most of this game. You led for 31 minutes of this game, man. Indiana looked good tonight. They looked like a team who's ready to compete. And if you can get this night in and night out, you're still not going to win every game. But man, that's a whole lot better than what's been happening. Because you didn't just live and die by the 3. You didn't just say, if we shoot 60%, we'll win. But if we don't, you better watch out because we could lose to anybody. They didn't do that. They said, we're going to win this game no matter what it takes. We're going to give everything we have to beat Purdue and win this game. I don't care that they're a top 15 team. I don't care that it took everything we had to win it. That's called sports. That's called basketball. That's what you're supposed to do. Will they beat us by 20 at their place? I don't know, maybe. Who cares? You're a winner tonight in a big way, and one that you so desperately needed given what your schedule looks like coming up, right? You prepare to go out west this weekend. You take on UCLA on Saturday, USC next midweek. I don't know if that's Tuesday or Wednesday. I think that's Tuesday, but I don't know. Come home for Wisconsin, home for Oregon, at Illinois, at Purdue. That's your next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's your next 6 games. But you finally pick up a signature win, a quad 1 win, a tournament resume building win. Let me say that again. Indiana just picked up a tournament resume building win. A win that you can now go to the committee in March, if you're around the bubble, in or out, whatever, and say, remember that win? Yeah, you need to respect that one. Doesn't matter that it was on your home floor. You beat a top 15 team. Indiana needed it, and Indiana got it. Let's do quick likes and dislikes here. There's a ton of you in the comments. I appreciate we got a ton of you here in the show right now. Got a bunch of people in the comments as well. Again, I just, it just looked different. It just looked different, man. It felt different. It is different, and it shows that this team has what it takes to win big games. Likes and dislikes for me, again, we kind of hit these at the end of every show. We also have kind of hit them along the way. Getting production from Wilkerson, Nick Dorn. I mean, if you continue to get big minutes out of him and big scoring out of him, it'll be impossible to keep that guy off the floor. Shout out to Tucker DeVries for not shooting like crazy, realizing he wasn't the go-to scoring option, but finding other ways to make an impact, dude. 10 rebounds, 3 assists. That's unbelievable for him. So shout out to him. Reed Bailey, again, I mentioned it. 9 big points tonight. You had to have them or else you lose the game. So when's the last time we said that Reed Bailey's performance won you the basketball game? Been forever since we've said that. Conor Enright, the big time 3 man. He plays great defense. He plays hard. He got his teammates involved and he had a good game tonight. He did, and never came off the floor, bro. That's absurd, dude. That's actually crazy. Defensively for Indiana, I was going to say you didn't get caught up in the emotions, but I think you did. I think this Indiana team did get caught up in the emotions. I think they fed off of it, and I think it helped them get to the win. I said I wanted to shout out Assembly Hall, and I will. Man, the fans showed up. They showed up, and it helped. It was a big reason why Indiana won this game tonight. And now you start to look forward on what Indiana is able to do. I mean, you have, at least for me, I have a totally different outlook on this team now. Totally different. I don't think you can erase what has happened up to this point because this team is still who they are, right? They still have some of those bad tendencies. But I do think tonight this team showed they have the ability to buckle down and win a game. Ugly, low scoring, grind it out, right? Some of the stats here quickly for Purdue players just to give you an idea in case you haven't looked at it. TKR, I mean, he got his 23 points, only 3 rebounds though, so you didn't get crushed there. Cox with 8, Lawyer with 8, Braden Smith 14 and 5. You limited him, brother. You limited him. 14 and 5. That is a win for me. Also, him going 2 for 8 from downtown. That's a win in itself as well. Oscar Clough, non-existent. 2 points, 6 boards, whatever. You held him in check too, and they had a bunch of other guys with a bucket or 2 in there. So you limited their big 3, their big 4 between Lawyer, Smith, Kaufman, Wren, and Oscar Clough. And you found a way to win. And Indiana can now build on this going out west this weekend. Then you return home for a couple of games. You got to see this Purdue team in a couple of weeks. Can you build on this? Can you start to string wins together? Because it looked different tonight. And Indiana just got the win. Maybe it needed. Maybe it was looking for this. To have a little bit of a spark for DeVries to get over the hump, right? He's 1-0 against Purdue. How awesome is that? And for this team to finally start believing in itself. 72-67 final score. Indiana beats Purdue in round 1 of this incredible matchup and this rivalry in college basketball. Hoosiers back in action Saturday on the road at UCLA, 5 o'clock Eastern time, 4 o'clock Central. You have a chance to go on a little run here if you're Indiana, but you pick up your biggest win so far of the season. Thank you so much for being here on this edition of Locked On Hoosiers. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. You follow us on your audio podcasting platforms. Leave your thoughts in the YouTube comments. We'd love for you to chime in on this conversation. Let us know how you feel about Indiana getting their biggest win of the year, taking down Purdue inside of Assembly Hall. Okay, we're back tomorrow for a full episode, Hoosier fans. So until then, stay safe, and we'll talk to you later.